Hello, everybody, and welcome to our show today. I'm really glad everybody could join us. So today we have a really cool guest with us and a friend of mine who him and I are doing a lot of cool things together in the space of offering loans to customers. So I'm really excited to have him here with us. So with us today is Jantzen Fugate. Now, Jantzen's actually a serial entrepreneur who's had many successes and, like many of us, some epic failures that we'll get into a little bit later in the show. So he was named to the V100 in Utah, a list of the top 100 entrepreneurs. And in 2015, he built his business loan brokerage to be the top 20 best companies to work for. And in 2016, they were named in the top 15 best companies to work for in the state of Utah. He's the founder of PulNoMor, a patent-pending dog leash, Streamlined Record Retrieval, which is the first business that he started back at the age of 21. And he's still going strong today, growing about 15% year over year, which is cool. And it's all ran by now his dad and his brother. So he and his wife own a pretty successful downtown Thai restaurant as well. So the guy's pretty busy. And one of the main things he's working on right now is he's the founder of the Business Loan Broker Academy and the Business Loan Broker Conference, which I just had the honor of speaking at a month or so ago. So, hey, buddy, welcome to the show.
Hey, man, sorry, that's a mouthful. I need to kind of calm it down just a little bit. But
It's perfect, man. I'm like, looking at this. It doesn't even do you justice for all the stuff that I know that you've done. You know, a guy that's built like 120, 150 employees, I think, at one time before you're like, I want to calm it down. So you've done some amazing things, man. I'm pretty proud of what you've done.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Ty. You're an inspiration myself. And it's my pleasure and really my honor to be on the show. I'm excited.
Yeah, same here, man. I'm excited to have you. Now, like I said to everybody, this is a little bit different. Jantzen and I are friends, and so I'm like, hey, dude, why aren't you on my show? Let's get you on the show. Whereas a lot of the guests I don't have an opportunity to talk to until we first meet on the show. Jantzen, I know, but a lot of people don't know. Tell us a little bit about your background in the business credit financing space. You've done a lot of other stuff, if you want to touch on that too. But I really want our listeners and viewers to be able to know what your experience is in the background of business credit financing.
Man, I've got a pretty extensive experience. I've been in the industry. In December, I'm going to hit my 10th year being in the business lending industry. And I got my first start actually by being kind of like mentored by an individual named Levi King, who originally went on, as you know, went on to found Lendio and then moved on to form Creditero, which is now NAV. So I had the benefit of kind of being able to work hand in hand or under Levi for a little bit of time and drew a lot of inspiration from this industry. And I just kind of naturally moved and migrated into kind of my own brokerage. And, you know, just kind of my natural tendency, just kind of hit it and try to hit it hard. And had a lot of successes and then had some, like you said, some pretty epic failures with trying to do, you know, pretty much everything. This industry, there has a lot of revenue veins in it, so to speak. And I have a tendency, as you just kind of rattled off, to kind of chase those types of businesses or businesses or just revenue in general. And so had a great start. We funded a ton of people. And then what ended up happening is we grew super aggressive because we offered a couple products, like a business credit product, which I wish I would have known we would have had our relationship because, you know, I wouldn't have been in, I'm still pulling myself out of some of the situations that I put myself into by not having, you know, proper fulfillment really is what it comes down to, just in full disclosure. And so we grew big. We did some huge numbers, did like almost $10 million. You can just round up because it's so dang close. In 2016, $10 million in pretty much business credit sales alone. And we just absolutely crushed it. Done like $150 million in funding. We focused a lot on the startup kind of revenue. Didn't really focus on merchant cash advances until later on in the game, equipment leasing or accounts receivable, which is now some big revenue streams for us. We really just focused on kind of the startups. So chased some big dreams, opened up some offices, hired a bunch of people, had a lot of fun. Payroll was not that fun. But it was really fun growing the business. And then it just grew too big, a lot of headaches, and just, you know, ended up kind of trying to take a step back and really trying to identify what it was that I loved in this industry. What I love is funding entrepreneurs, I love helping them get started. I love getting them the access to capital that they need, to kind of get going. And then I love to be there for their intermediate and their long-term funding. And then through that kind of evolution over 10 years, because I hired and fired and trained like over 450 people. I moved into kind of like this kind of authority here locally, but also starting to kind of become online. And then I started to kind of train people, and I started off actually doing some high ticket coaching one-on-one, and created some pretty successful people that I think you're actually going to be interviewing later on down the line, that you have some good ties with, that were speakers, that I have the pleasure of kind of playing a hand in their success stories. And through their championing on of me, championing on them and training them, it became evident that I was probably a good person to kind of bring people through the business loan broker kind of arena. Without being too long-winded, it has the industry has a tendency to kind of, because of the high commissions and the money that's there, it has a tendency to kind of pull in some wolves and some wolves in sheep's clothing, so to speak. And I fell victim to all of that. And so now I'm helping people kind of avoid that and turning them on best practices and helping them streamline their brokerages, or at least helping them get into the business loan broker industry. So that's kind of where I'm at now. And we've got a conference, and everything's just kind of coming around full circle. And so it's been quite the journey.
That's cool, man. Well, congratulations on everything. So, for everybody watching and listening, I mean, Jantzen's a foremost expert when it comes to business financing and business credit. And on top of that, he's also the guru in the space of getting people and helping people train to offer this. So we want to talk about both of those. Let's talk a little bit more about the financing side for everybody that's tuning in, interested in getting financing for their business. What types of business financing do you think are probably working really well and working best right now for borrowers?
Oh, but wow. So I think the best types of financing obviously is like, vendor credit is probably the largest types of financing that's out there. It's never going to go away, which plays perfectly into kind of like credit suite and the business credit building process. That's a huge out there. Equipment leasing is also very big, never going away. Has, a huge background of brokers being able to play a big piece in that and make money. Merchant cash advance is still here. It's still on fire. It's been around for, now probably about 10, probably maybe 12 years. And we're starting to see a little bit of some of the regulations and maybe some things starting to kind of come around with that industry. But that just creates reform, which is great for, the borrowers, and creates transparency, which that kind of lending vertical needs a little bit more of. And that industry is great, and the revenue there for a broker is tremendous. And then, the lines of credit or the credit card stacking, however it is that you kind of word it, or the unsecured lines of credit program, are obviously huge. And, there's so many startups, as you talk about, I talk about, everyone talks about, that are created every single day, every single month, every single year. And pretty much, there's everyone will kind of has their own opinions, but credit cards plays a big piece in those businesses getting going, if not the main funding vehicle for people to kind of get going for their businesses. So I just see a tremendous amount of opportunity. I mean, there was a recent publication that stated that I think in 2015, banks relied on brokers 42% of their business, which is pretty astounding, and then those same banks were surveyed 2 years later, and they have it's now increased to about 65%. So it just kind of showed you like the trajectory of our industry, and they've got so much money right now, they can't even, get it out on the streets fast enough. So, they need our help.
You mentioned the credit card stacking and some startup financing, and I think the last number I saw you right was like 600,000 new businesses in the United States every month. So along that line, what type of financing do you think works best for startup businesses?
Well, I think it kind of depends on the situation, really, and the borrower, and what it is that they're trying to do. I think the credit card program is a great one, because that gets them 0% interest rates for, 6, 12, 18, 24 months. Some of that will report to their business credit and be a catalyst in kind of their business credit building journey. So I think that that plays a big part in it. And that, where can you find 0% interest rate on money to kind of get going? So that I think is a very strong product. Will never go, obviously is never going to go away. And companies that jump into the space to help business owners or consumers at that point get into business are just becoming better and better, and becoming more and more, their processes and procedures and their underwriting and their technology is just getting stronger. So I think that's an exciting piece.
And we call this UBF, or unsecured business financing. As you mentioned, it's called credit card stacking. It's called credit lines. It's called startup financing. It's called, I don't know, right? We don't have time. So explain to our viewers and listeners, how does this kind of financing really work?
Well, so essentially the way that it works is without getting like into too much granular detail, there's companies that were out there that will know the banks that are actively lending the most aggressively. They know what their underwriting criteria is on a very granular level. And then what they'll do is they will then take a look at your profile first, and then they will say, okay, based off of your profile, this is the funding that you qualify for. And I hope I'm answering your question correctly. And then what they'll essentially do is they'll identify, how much they qualify for. And they do that by taking a look at the individual's profile first, looking at their strengths, looking at their weaknesses, and then comparing that to their own data that they have on the actual banks. So they do their own in-house underwriting before they send it to the banks to do their underwriting. So then that allows them to have an accurate placement. So I'll give you an example. Like, let's say one of these UBF companies is they're going to look at all three of your credit bureaus, and let's say that TransUnion has 2 inquiries where Equifax or Experian maybe is carrying 7 or 8. It's important to work with a company that's got the technology or the intel or the data to be able to look at that profile and not just give them a decline, because they kind of are carrying some higher inquiries on 2 of the major bureaus. But there are lending institutions that only look and pull TransUnion, so it's important to know which of those lending institutions are going to pull TransUnion, because you can maximize your opportunity with the lender that are only pulling TransUnion. There's so many other granular things that kind of go into it, but that's the process. It's not as simple as the consumer or entrepreneur at that point going onto creditcards.com and just filling out a bunch of applications.
Sure.
It's just not going to work. You're going to get $2,000 to $3,000 approvals attached to high interest rates. So it's all about knowing which banks are actively lending and aggressively lending, and which ones are giving you the 0% interest rates, also giving you the ability to access cash. That's also something that's really important for business owners as well.
Yeah, and one of the best programs I've seen for startups. I mean, up to 150,000 in funding. If you're watching, listen to the show, we're going to have other people on, including one of our best sources for that kind of capital in the weeks to come. What about credit issues? A lot of people have credit issues out there. What kind of financing do you think is working best right now for people that have personal credit challenges?
Well, if you have personal credit challenges, the first thing you want to do is obviously address those and start working towards building your business credit and kind of disassociating the two. But your personal credit will always come into play when you're talking about different types of financing. So, it's again important to kind of take a proactive approach on that. But with that being said, there are lending institutions that will go down to like a 620 credit score that we see and are able to pull some pretty big approvals out of. And hopefully I'm okay to drop those lenders' names right now with your blessing. And, we've got like Lending Club that we've been able to pull millions of dollars out of, Prosper, Avant, SoFi. And there's a long list of these lenders that will give approvals, assuming that you have verifiable household income. And, credit issues and credit challenges are great or accepted. Carrying high weights and balances on revolving utilization is also, very acceptable. There's also some creative financing as well that you can tap into. Like if you have a 401k, a lot of people, are trained or educated that you can't tap into your 401k until, retirement, and if you do so before early retirement, you're going to get hit with taxes, penalties, and interest. But there are and I don't want to say creative ways because it's just the way that the laws are written, but by leveraging the laws, there's ways that you can access your own money in your 401k, avoid taxes, penalties, and interest. And when I say that, it doesn't sound the best, but it's the way that the laws are written, and you can access that cash. So if you have a 401k, if you have a spouse or someone that's, close to you, you can always tap into that. And there's a lot of ways that you can get around credit challenges, but you just have to be a little bit more creative. Some of your partners that you're going to bring on in the future, I'm sure will attest that, 15 to 20, sometimes I've heard as high as 25%. Internally, it's 20 for us. 20% of our UBF funding comes from credit partners. So just kind of thinking a little bit outside of the box, which is what we try to teach at the Business Loan Broker Academy, which is like, how to be solution oriented and how to be kind of like a consultative business loan broker. So that way we can help them with their immediate, intermediate, and their long-term funding, educate them, and and help them along the way through their entire kind of like, business journey.
Jantzen, what are you guys doing when it comes to, or what are you advising your brokers to do when it comes to real estate financing or financing for those people looking at flip homes? I mean, a lot of people watching the show, a lot of people that follow us, that's what they're doing. They're flipping homes and getting into that industry. What kind of financing do you think works really well for those kind of people?
Well, interesting enough, we're doing a fix and flip training right now in the Business Loan Broker Academy. It's a 4-week training where we're introducing them to all types of fix and flip lenders, some of the top and most aggressive fix and flip lenders. We've actually negotiated some of the top payouts with those lenders because we're looked at as kind of like a super broker collectively together. So, working with those types of lenders, again, the UBF program, fix and flip, real estate investors are probably my number 2 most helped out client. Truck drivers, being number 1.
Yeah, it's the same.
Neck and neck.
Yeah, which is interesting.
There's just an abundance amount of them and in their in.
I got you.
There?
I lost you. That's okay. Wouldn't be
Sorry about that.
Live if there wasn't glitches. So
sorry about that.
That's cool. Of these programs you're talking about, what do you think is some of the lowest rate, the lower rate financing that's out there? Like which programs do you think if somebody's lower risk? Well, let me ask you that. That's the 2 factors. What factors tie into risk? Because, everybody wants to pay less than what they sometimes end up paying. So people want to know what determines what they pay. And then, what are some of the loan programs that you think are the lower interest rate programs for the lower risk borrowers?
Wow. So the low risk borrowers, again, like the UBF program is a great source. If you can come up with 20% down, SBA is a great program. They are holding interest rates a little bit above prime. Prime continues to keep moving and is projected to continue to keep moving, into the coming years. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. But again, interest rates are still relatively low, and it's really all comes down to the opportunity at hand. That's what I always like to tell the business owner and the entrepreneur. We can get caught up in the numbers all day, in regards to the interest rates and the nickels and the dimes that you're trying to chase. But really what we need to be focusing on is kind of like on the bigger picture. And, you might be having to pay the Pied Piper, but you also don't have, a huge amount of credit depth. Or, hey, you do have to pay 7%, and that may not sound appeasing to you for whatever reason, even though that's right where, interest rates kind of are for prime borrowers. It's just all about kind of educating them and reminding them that, hey, it's all about the opportunity. So regardless if there's even 100% interest rate on this money, once you get through that payment plan, look at what you've been able to build. And as long as you believe in yourself and you believe in your business, it really doesn't matter what the interest rate is, as long as us as brokers can get them access to capital. Now, we want to do right by the business owner and get them the right type of financing, get them the right types of interest rates. But it's also about us just educating them about, the opportunity and reminding them again about the opportunity at hand. But,
no, I love that. I think, and this is what we see too. I ask it for the sake of everybody listening, watching, but we see people are too infatuated with interest rate. Like you said, it's based on risk. And you mentioned some things. It has to do with how deep your credit profile is, right? And credit and the industry that you're in and all these other factors. And if you're lower risk, you get a lower rate. But as you said, there's so many other things to look at, like what's that money going to do growth wise for the business? Because if somebody's paying, we had a guy that paid 65% interest, 65% on equipment financing. Like, that's insane, right? But the
Yeah.
guy was buying a tree stumper for a golf course, which I didn't even know what that was. And it's $10,000 a month he saved by getting the financing. So if you're concerned about the interest which you write off, then you lose the
Yeah.
benefit of the 10 grand that you save. What if factors tie into how much money somebody can get?
Well, so there's a lot of different factors that come into play. So starting off with like personal credit, your revolving utilization is very important. How much you've been able to manage and how much you're currently managing on your lines of credit are very important. Keeping your utilization below 30% is always recommended, but if you can keep it below 50%, that will, help you get at least approvals. But if you can get it below 40 or below 30%, you're going to be able to maximize your amount of approvals. The amount of money that you've been able to manage in the past is also, a factor that comes into play, which is, why it's important to be cognizant of building your personal and your business credit. With your business, it's important that you have a business set up. A lot of business owners utilize a sole proprietorship, just from a financing standpoint. That's not very attractive to lending institutions. A lot of lending institutions will not lend. It's written into their underwriting criteria that they won't lend to sole proprietors. Now, there are lending institutions that are the exception, but making sure that you have your entity set up, making sure that it's set up properly, making sure that you set up your business credit, making sure you lay the foundation with Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax Business, Experian Business, and the newer business credit bureaus, Lexington, a lot like you have mentioned. It's important that foundation is there. Again, just mirroring the personal credit side, making sure that you've got a good foundation, making sure that your SIC codes and your NAICS codes are properly coded, and you're choosing the right industries, because certain industries have different risk tolerances, and that's reflected very prominent on your business credit, whether it be high risk, moderate, low to moderate, low risk. So it's important to choose, the right types of codes or SIC codes, and it's important to have a business plan. 99% of business owners don't have a business plan, and so you're leaving the underwriter to interpret your business model. And the last thing we want is someone that's job is to protect the bank's assets. We don't want them to is not a business minded individual. We don't want them to think about how our business operates. We want to be able to present them a nice loan package, that essentially says here's our business, here's where we've been, here's where we're at, here's where we're going, and here's why you should lend us the money, and here's actually how you're going to get repaid. And a lot of business owners don't, you ask them, do I have a business plan? Do you have a business plan? And they're like, yes. And can you send it to me? And they're like, well, it's in my head. And, so, making sure that you're online, I think, is important as well. A lot of lenders will go ahead and do online verifications, and a lot of lenders right now are looking at alternative ways to check your credibility as well, because they are looking at ways to not necessarily look at the business owner's personal credit, or to put less, weight and bearing on the business owner's personal credit, to give the business owner more of the benefit of the doubt. So they're looking at alternative ways to look at their credibility, or to discredit the individual. They're looking at their social media profiles, again, their online presence. I know one lender in particular that takes a look into their LinkedIn profile and see how engaged they are. They look at who's involved in your network, and if those people are relevant to your industry. So, that stuff is interesting to me, that lenders are kind of looking at that type of stuff, to kind of prove again, your credibility. So all those things are important facets. And each one has different weights and bearings in regards to getting funding, and having one doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get an approval or decline, but having them all definitely stacks the deck in your favor.
Now, you mentioned business credit. What are your thoughts? You've been doing this a long time, and you're really a foremost expert. Not only are you a super broker when it comes to the loan side, but you're training all these guys. So, how important really is business credit into the equation of getting money at the best terms?
Well, when the SBA, the Small Business Administration, checks your business credit, to me, that makes it extremely important. So I think that right there says it all. If the Small Business Administration has it written into their underwriting criteria that they're going to check a business owner's business credit, that right there shows you that it's very important, just from getting funding from the Small Business Administration. Business credit, vendor credit, trade lines, reference financing, that's the largest types of financing, as you know, that's out there and can't really, no other funding even pooled together can really even compete. It's $1 trillion industry. And, so we have to sometimes, as business loan brokers, have to educate the business owner about, they'll come to us and say, I need $100,000 and we need to break that down. And, I need, $20,000 for new computers. I need new workstations. I need printers, fax machines, and scanners. Well, you don't necessarily have to use cash for that. A typical business loan broker thinks cash, but we try to teach the business loan broker through the Business Loan Broker Academy to, again, be well-rounded and think of alternative ways. Because, again, leveraging business credit can get people into business. So again, like, how important is that? How important is that to our economy? How important is that to the business owner itself, to their future employees, to their customers that they're servicing through their products? And for us as business loan brokers, that it impacts us, impacts our family. And if we have employees, then just the whole trickle down effect of, how the economy works. So I think that it's extremely important to have business credit in tangent with all of the other facets that go into going into getting a business loan.
It's awesome. And I appreciate all that. And I want to kind of switch hats a little because, look, you've given us a lot of great info about what are the best programs and rates and terms and qualifications and everything. A lot of people would be interested in knowing, but there's a lot of people that are tuned in here that are in the financial services space. They're attorneys, they're accountants, they're loan brokers. They're out there thinking about or already are offering business credit loans to their customers. So for those people, let me ask you this. Why would somebody, if they're not there, why would somebody think about getting started with brokering loans, with helping people get financing? Let's say we've got somebody here that's already in financial services, they're already working with businesses. What's the
Yeah.
benefit of them doing it? Should they think about doing something like this on the side? Does it have to be a primary job? Can it be something they do for secondary income?
Yeah.
Give me some feedback here. What's your thoughts?
Okay, sure. Yeah, great question. Well, I think it's like the real estate industry and the mortgage industry and the insurance industry, but better, right? And everybody knows a real estate agent that holds their license and keeps it active, to help out their friends and their family, close a deal once a year, pay off some credit card debt, or you know, money for Christmas or whatnot. But then everybody knows a mortgage broker or a real estate agent that's in it full time, and this is all they do, and they're a hustler. They're closing loans every single day. So that's the thing that I love about this industry is you can be that person that's fully immersed in this, and you can make this and write your own ticket, and you could literally build 1,000-person call center, and the sky's the limit. Or you can be the singular broker that's working from the comfort of your armchair or a coffee shop, working from your cell phone. Or you can be the one that's, someone who's already has in the financial services industry, and just this can be a perfect revenue vein for you. We've got it set up through the Business Loan Broker Academy, where you've got two channels. One, you can just simply we'll give you the training on the underwriting criteria on the loan programs. We'll give you the marketing material so you can go out there and promote it. But if you want to just send it back to us, we can take it from cradle to grave after just sending it to us. Because there's a couple industries that there's some gray area where they can't necessarily take on this type of business. So they just want to simply refer it over to us and maybe take a little bit of take their commission at that point, and then we'll take it from start to finish. So I think it's a fantastic vertical for somebody to, look into. And if they're in the financial services, if you're an accountant, you already have direct access to your clients. They're probably already coming to you for funding anyway. You might as well be set up as a referral partner or an ISO or an affiliate or whatever it is that, those lenders, whatever the lenders want to call them. There's no reason for you not to, because the average deal that closes for a business loan broker commission-wise is going to net you about $3,000. So, if you can close one deal a month, and you're an accountant, that may or may not be exciting to somebody, but that is a decent amount of money that's coming in, month after month, and it can only go from there, and it can only expand and strengthen your financial services kind of portfolio. And a lot of the people that come in through the academy are financial consultants, and they find it a perfect fit for them to be able to offer this to their clients, just because they already have direct access. They're already looked at as the authoritative figure. It's very simple for them to, promote it, whether that be through an email or a webinar or just a simple phone call, or just through matters of, regular day-to-day business. Hey, I noticed through your cash flow, or hey, you need this, or hey, could you use equipment? If you just wear it a little bit on your sleeve, just a little bit, you'll be amazed at the amount of business that will kind of come your way, because it's like it's like you're selling, you've got the best product that business owners need. Every business owner wants it. We may just need to educate them a little bit about how bad they actually need it.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's no business owner out there that doesn't want money or capital to grow.
Yeah, that's
Right.
what we're in business for.
Yeah, and when you're the one that's there to help them, like you said, you laid out a case where it makes really sense. Even if you don't have a lot of time, you could refer it over and still get paid and know the customer's taken care of. And working with the loan broker, you're typically going to get better terms than you get on your own, because like you said, when you do volume of deals, you negotiate for the customer and get them even better rates. What type of training? You mentioned it. I mean, people would like to know what kind of licensing or training is needed to broker loans or offer loans to business owners.
So it's actually, for the most part, completely unregulated, which, is one of the reasons why we wanted to create the academy, because not to say we want to put regulations in place, but we definitely want a code of ethics in place, because the unregulation has a tendency to bring in some wolves, or like I said, some sheep in wolves' clothing. Or some wolves in sheep's clothing, rather. But with the exception, based off my research, and I've helped, close to about 1,600 people now get into this space, or introduce the business loan brokering into them. It's my understanding that California and North Carolina are the only states that pretty much require like a broker license. And through the academy, we have step-by-step guides to take you through how to get your California license and how to get your North Carolina license. And it's relatively simple. A lot of people get scared about the word bond. Costs you normally less than $100, maybe less than $200, depending on a few things. But you have to get a $50 or $75,000 bond. Very simple. We walk you through the steps. But outside of those two states, it's completely unregulated. And it's kind of like the mortgage industry in the 90s. It's kind of like the wild, wild west, so to speak. So we're here at the academy to kind of provide like a safe haven and a good training, and so they don't feel like they're on an island by themselves or getting surrounded by the wolves. And I've already been down that road for everybody.
Yeah, we have too. And we both, you and I both have run across some pretty unscrupulous people along the way. What type of education do you guys provide ongoing? Is it just initial training, or what do you do for ongoing training, community for them to participate in, events where they can come together? What are you doing along those lines, or what's available along those lines?
So originally, I just set it up as an online training platform. It's kind of my typical tendency is just to kind of do. So I'm like, hey, my next evolution is for me to just kind of create an online training platform. And so I just jumped into it. We've got already structured trainings in there, from the brand new broker to the seasoned broker, from marketing, online, offline, paid, non-paid ways. We teach them all about the industry. We teach them about the 7 main funding vehicles that are out there for entrepreneurs. We introduce them to the lenders, their underwriting criteria. And so that's all already in our back office. We teach them how to grow their sales floor and organization just based off of my model and all the information that I've already have in building my organization the way that I've built it. So I share all of that with everybody in our back office. And then it's really interesting. So there's a tremendous amount of value right there, but what everyone feels like is the most value and the lasting value is our Facebook community. Very similar to your community. It's like a bunch of heart-centered people who are here to help you along the way, along your business loan broker journey, whether they're 2 steps ahead of you or 2 miles ahead of you. They're all kind of like reaching down to help, and we're championing on everybody every single day, giving them the proper attaboys, but also at the same time, kind of like holding them accountable through the group. I do a lot of Facebook Lives. I do a lender training every Wednesday. I try to do a marketing training every Friday. I've just now kicked off a cold call training that I'm doing every week, where I do an hour of cold calling just to show everybody how simple it literally is to get into this business and to originate applications. And we are a little bit different than the traditional blueprint, because we teach people how to make money all along the way, and how to monetize your clients, but also help them get them what it is that they want. So traditionally, a business loan broker only makes money when the deal closes. We introduce them to other partners that's going to help offset some of their marketing costs. We introduce them to individuals like you and Credit Suite, obviously, that can help provide alternative business credit building solutions and revenue streams for us as like financial consultants or business loan brokers. And then, like I said, so we do that lender training, and then it's just ongoing. I do a lender training every week, every Wednesday, and there's only been a few little blips, like with the exception of a couple holidays and one vacation. And then we have a business loan broker conference, which was really fun, and we just kicked that off, and why the heck not? And you came and rocked it out and spoke, and it was, we had the Academy members come, and yeah, man, you did great. Everyone was pumped up. We had like 15 awesome speakers, just people, influencers in our industry, and brokers that are solo brokers doing 250, 500K a year, from the comfort of their home office, and brokers that are 25 years old and running 10 people operations, funding $3 million a week, and they're sharing their stories. And we had a great networking event afterwards, and a great VIP dinner, that you came to, and a handful of our VIPers came to. And I'm going to do that every single year, and looking to put 400 people at the conference this year, and just going to continue to, just keep growing.
I love what you're doing. Well, tell everybody where they can go to learn more about you, learn more about Business Loan Broker Academy, those details.
Yeah, sure. I appreciate the opportunity to share that. They can go to businessloanbrokeracademy.com, or they can join our private Facebook group. You just have to search Business Loan Broker Academy, and you'll see that there. You join it, you're in it. We have a lot of other influencers in it. We have our lenders are in it. We've got marketers that generate business loan leads in it. And so it's just a great network, a great safe haven where people can come in, they can learn, they can feel, they can share their vulnerabilities and know that they're not going to get chewed out like there's other forums, and websites that are out there in our industry that, again, like the wolves just prey on those people and rip them up. And it's sad to see that. And so we just provide that safe haven. So Business Loan Broker Academy, everywhere.
So everybody, listen, I am a huge fan of Jantzen, huge fan. Him and I followed really similar paths, where went from doing it and helping, and then realizing that by helping the people that can help the masses, you can get to more people, right? And that passionate about the vision of saying, look, how can I help more people? Well, instead of me helping them all, let me help train the people that can then help them all. Let me build an army of people to help, to have a greater impact. And it takes a lot to go from doing it on your own, raking in the money, 100+ person organization, to saying, no, I don't think so. I'm going to start from the ground up and build something that can help other people help more people. It's a way to get the mission accomplished. And I'm just a huge fan. I had an opportunity to speak at the conference. It was phenomenal. The speakers I was there with were great. The people in the industry and the expertise were there. Your group is phenomenal. Real lenders are in there talking about deals that they would take and how they can help. And brokers are exchanging ideas of what can work and solving each other's problem. The training is phenomenal. The only complaint I have is it's way too cheap. And that's why I'm not going to let you talk about price, because I'm going to convince you to radically raise the price. And even then, people will still think it's too cheap. So when they see this, they will think, okay, Ty never convinced me to change it, and I'll have had you quadruple the price by then. But I'm a huge fan.
I'm
So
hearing that too much, man. I'm hearing that too much. I need to raise the prices. But
you do, and we'll get that done. You're not going to talk about the price here because, like I said, people will look and they'll go, "Oh, he never convinced them. The price is still too low." But it really is. I mean, Jantzen is the man when it comes to teaching people. And there's two different things you can get from this. There's people here that got a lot of information about the kind of loans and business credit that are out there. And if you're like me, where I'm just obsessed with learning,
yeah.
Business Loan Broker Academy is so cheap to get into that it's kind of interesting just to be part of it and learn everything there is, because you're going to need money along the way. And there's a million things you can learn about this entire process to become more educated. And then there's a lot of you that maybe even have an interest as a primary or just a secondary service. If you can make a couple grand, $3,000 on the side for a deal and you're around business owners, why not? Especially if there's a path to get it all done for you. Help your peers and at the same time make a little money and all the work's done. So a lot of different ways to get into the space and help other people and enjoy healthy revenue as a result of helping
Yeah.
people. I think, Jantzen, is that probably the best way to sum it up?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, I use in my webinar, it's not like working at Good Burger. If anyone's familiar with that Nickelodeon show, Good Burger, it's not, I mean, that's a good time, but we're going, we're going home and we're helping business owners. We're a catalyst in our economy. I used to say economic recovery, but, we've already, us as business loan brokers, and, we've done a good job of helping our economy rise up, and it's only going to continue to keep getting stronger. And so it's fun to play a piece in like our overall economic movement, that we're kind of going through right now. And so I think you summed it up. I mean, this business model just gives you the warm fuzzies. You're helping business owners, you're putting them into business. You need to think about that trickle down effect, and how you're helping their employees and their families, and how that really just dramatically comes around full circle for, our overall economy and your local economy. Your geographical footprint, and then you in general make good money as well. So it's like, I love this industry.
That's awesome. Jantzen,
yeah.
Thanks for coming on, man. It's been awesome having you here today.
My pleasure, Ty. Thank you again, man. I look forward to more of this and look forward to you coming back to the conference again too.
Same here. I look forward to it. So make sure, everybody, you go to businessloanbrokeracademy.com, businessloanbrokeracademy.com. I'm going to put that on the show resources page. I'm going to go ahead and put Jantzen's LinkedIn link or pay profile link on the show resources page. And I will put something referencing the group, maybe even a direct link to his Facebook group as well. Remember, none of this means anything unless you take action. So the action to take is make sure you visit businessloanbrokeracademy.com to get a bunch more information and learn more. Talk to Jantzen, communicate with his team, and maybe dive into this interesting world of offering business credit and loans. So businessloanbrokeracademy.com for all the information you need to become a business loan broker. Thanks, everybody. Check it out. Hope you have a great day.